advance with thanksgiving for all he's getting ready to do. And I want to celebrate and welcome back one of my favorite people in the world, Miss Tony Marie, leading us in worship today. Yeah! We can do better than that. Y'all ask me about it every single week. Let her know you love her. Let her know you're glad to have her. And the service of the Lord was so grateful. And then what was your name again, brother? Devin. Thank you so much, Devin. Why don't you celebrate Devin for being here with her? And then some of y'all who are here, you get to enjoy the privilege of kind of hearing Carrie's play. And you just kind of see him take off and leave. For those who are watching, you probably wonder who plays keys for us at the moment. It's none other than the one and only Carrie's Whitley. I mean, he just holds it down. He travels the world. And like you all just have no clue the gift that we have in having him here with us. There's plenty of people all across the city of Chicago and really the country that can play. But the gift he has, if we had probably some far superior tools than the little bit that we're able to work with, you have a taste more of what he can do. But you've heard him make the keyboard that we have talk, and it ain't a whole lot to brag about the keyboard that we give him to use. We're praying for the Lord to increase it, but sometimes we just kind of go past it. But I don't ever want to minimize the gift that God has graced us with for the season that we're in. I don't know how long we'll be able to do it, but I want to celebrate and say thank you, man, for doing it. Man, let's celebrate it. Again, you got to celebrate while you can. Because by and large, you've been here with us every Sunday almost since June. And it's not because he has to. I want to be clear about that. He leaves here to go head to his church, and he leaves there to go head to another church, so he's probably playing at least 4 gigs a Sunday. So he don't have to be here with us. Even Sundays where he has one before, he does his best to be here because he's committed to be here with us and to support us in the season. So I want to celebrate him and say thank you for that. Thank you for that. I don't take it lightly at all. And Tim, you've been holding it down with us on the drums, man, so I definitely want to appreciate that. Tim's been here with us on and off since about June as well. So I want to say thank you for that. Y'all know Maurice is my guy. Y'all can't say nothing to me about Maurice. Y'all can't say nothing to me about Maurice. Maurice has stepped in, got involved, got in the game, came to do one thing back in like February, and has he's touched like 12 different things in that music department since he's been here. And most recently, he's taken over as kind of the coordinator of some areas within there, helping coordinate and bring some structure to our worship team and really our band and kind of just the sound part of it. So I want to celebrate him and say thank you for accepting that, man. Taking that off. We're in a season where I'm looking to move people into whatever role they're supposed to be in, so I can go do what I'm supposed to do and they can do what they're supposed to do. And I believe we'll function much better that way. John Maxwell says it's about having the right people at the right place, but also having the right people at the right place and in the right seat. And you can have the right people with you, but if they ain't in the right seat, it don't matter. It don't matter. So we gotta have the right people in the right place and in the right seat. And so I want to say thank you, man, for stepping up to that plate to help me kind of shoulder that load. It's gonna be major. I'm excited about what's to come. I'm excited about those who have committed their gift to us, and I'm extending the opportunity to any of you all who want to get involved in somehow, some way, shape, or form. We're gonna have some more formal information coming about that. We've got some training days coming up, and I started doing it before, and we didn't kind of stay on track with it. These are gonna kind of be that on steroids, if you will, because you'll really get to hear from me, hear my heart, hear our vision. But then I'm excited about the one we got coming up in June, and I'll give you that date at the end because I want to make sure you save the date and kind of are aware of it. Because we got some people coming in to kind of give us their heart and share with us to help us grow to the next level, and I'm excited about that. Let me also mention pre-service prayer started back at 9:30. So those who want to be here with us, we pray as a team every Sunday morning at 9:30. And we just usher God's presence into the house. We pray that He'll work on our spirits to make sure flesh don't get in the way of anything. And so, yeah, absolutely, amen. We want to make sure this is a prayed up space and place. And so if you serve in an area, if you serve, you're really encouraged to be there. And I say encouraged, to not say forced. So you're strongly encouraged to be there if you're serving in any capacity. And then if you're not serving but thinking about it, it's a great time to come by and meet some of the team and see us and hang out with us and pray with us before service, get some information. And sometimes you can't stay after the talk, so come a little earlier and we can have a conversation when you come in the morning. Amen? Amen. Well, I'm on I'd say 10, but I really feel like I'm somewhere between like 10 and 12 at the moment. So I'm really trying to calm myself down for some reason. I don't know why. I think I'm just either happy to see you. I'm just fired up for being in. Being away for a couple of days, I was able to go spend some time for a conference in Florida. And I didn't really want to come back because Florida is, why would I want to leave sunny 90-degree weather? To hop on a plane to come back to cold 45, cold and cloudy when I got back in yesterday. Cold and cloudy. I decided to just say, you know what? I know you're working on building the campus down in Florida. Why don't you let me come on staff at your church? And I'll fly back in. But no, I feel like I'm at home. I'm good. I'm glad to see you all. I was committed to be here. I want to jump into the word. And then let me say again in advance, for those who can and will, I have a 6:30 today. If you can't be there, pray me through. If you can be there, press your way with me. It's one thing for you to be at home. That's expected. I expect to see you all here with me. It's above and beyond when you come out with me. And I don't do it often, and I definitely don't have them this late often. But this one is at 6:30 p.m. It's at Broadview Baptist Church. And I'm excited about the opportunity to be there. They've become kind of a partner to us in many ways, where we do our baptism. They open our doors up to them, and they asked me to come preach for them this evening. And so 6:30 is that. So if you're watching online, decided not to come to church this morning, it is not too late for you to move your schedule in the evening to put some clothes on and come to church. Amen? All right, let's jump into the word today. I want to talk about taming your appetite. Taming your appetite. Taming your appetite. I kind of jumped into this boot up series, I don't know, kind of informally about 2 weeks ago. Formally last week, I kind of jumped straight into it. And last week, I really shared this whole idea of becoming the person that you're looking for. And I extended that beyond relationships, right? I said beyond being a single person, whether it's a professional desire, whether it's a relational pursuit with a friend, whether it's a brother or a sister kind of thing you're trying to work through, you've got to understand that there is a reality that exists that really says, if I'm going to do this, I got to make a commitment, right? And I said that many of us live non-committal lives. We're dating everything, marrying nothing. So we're not committed to much of anything, but every time you look up, we're doing something else. We started something else. I want to do this. I want to be this. I want to do this. And I'm not committed to anything, but I'm committing. I'm saying I'll do something about everything. And my life does not reflect any of those commitments whatsoever. And it will take, another level of commitment for you to get to where you want to go. It will take you making a decision to make an adjustment. And so this has kind of been what I've been talking about for the past, I don't know how long I've been sharing this, but when you know who you are, you will know what to do. When you know who you are, you will know what to do. And it's this idea of identity, that you can't be pursuing purpose and identity at the same time. You can't be pursuing purpose. And if you don't know who you are while you're trying to pursue purpose, you're going to end up in purpose looking like everybody else. Right. And what will happen is they say, well, I don't want that because I got this person already exists right here, so I really don't need another person like this. Right? So if I get up here and I try to sing just like Tony, you're going to say, first of all, you can't do it. And second of all, we already got a Tony. So I don't need another Tony. That makes sense on some fronts? You ever heard a rapper? It's like, man, this rapper sounds like this other rapper. Come on, don't act like you got to listen to that music. Who is it? Designer sounds just like Future, right? Come on, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And so don't play me. It sounds just alike. This is the same sound, same cadence. Well, we don't need another one. And if you're chasing identity and purpose simultaneously, you'll make a mistake of trying to become something to mold where you're going instead of becoming what you want to be for when you get there. So when you know who you are, you know what to do. Conversely, alternatively, when you know who you are, you know what not to do. You know what I will not settle for. You know what I will not, what boundaries I will not cross when I know who I am. So I will not do this. I will, if getting here requires me to do this here, I won't do it. Amen. If getting you means I have to sacrifice my morals and my values, I'd rather not have you. Amen. When I know who I am, I know what to do. When I know who I am, I know what I'm not going to do. Because this is clear. You can say what you want to say about me. I know that ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a God thing. This is what I believe God wants me to go. The direction in which I believe God is leading me to go. So when I know who I am, I know what to do, and I know what I will not do. You do not change your life by changing your life. You change your life by changing your mind. The scripture talks so clearly about the power of a renewed mind. Set your mind on things above. Set your affections on things above. Set your heart on things above. And I think this word talks about your mind. Romans chapter number 12 says, therefore do not be conformed to this world, but be renewed by the transforming of your mind. It's all to talk about your mind, because you change your life when you change your mind, because when my mind is made up, my body will follow. But if you just start changing habits, but you don't change your mind about it, you can go to a new place and act the same way. You can get a new person and act the same way. What if the problem in the last relationship wasn't the person? What if it was you? So you brought you into the new relationship and you didn't change. You brought you into the new job, but you didn't change. So you got fired from the last one. Nobody got fired before? And so if there's no mind change between the last job and the new job, the odds are probably high that you might get fired for being late again, because your mentality toward being late hasn't adjusted. So if you thought the problem before would be, you thought, man, why are you tripping? I'm only 5 minutes late. Well, if it starts here, the problem ain't the employer. Am I making sense? So you don't change your life by changing your life. Scripture makes it clear you change your life by changing your mind. Jesus makes it clear his mind was made up. He could not be swayed. I don't care how much you tempt me. When my mind is clear, I'm not going to fall for it. So I got to have a made up mind and not just behavior modification. And there are some places that will only talk to you about behavior modification and not life transformation. So I don't want you to become I don't want you to feel like you're doing the right thing and not really be a better person. Because you can have good habits and do good deeds and still be a terrible person. Because some of us have told us, well, I do good deeds, so that makes me a good person. No, that don't. Because you can be a good Samaritan to the homeless and be a terrible brother. Amen. You can love everybody else, and then when you come to church, you're just mean and nasty. Or the inverse. You can be the most welcoming, loving person in church, and you go home and your family hates you. It's like you're the chief deacon. Apostle, why are you so angry? Am I making sense? So you don't change your life by changing your life. You change your life by changing your mind. And Scripture makes that very, very clear to us. And if you don't understand that, none of the other stuff will make sense. Because here's what I said last week. Last week it was the idea of listening. Well, 2 weeks ago was the idea of listening. Last week kind of connected the dots between listening and understanding instructions. Because in order for you to walk in the fullness of who God is calling you to be, you have to know how to listen. But in order to walk in the fullness of who you are, you also have to learn how to not be dependent upon other people. Right? Because last week was that whole idea of John chapter number 5, where he says to the woman, to the man, do you want to be healed? And the man's like, well, I don't have no one to put me in the water. And it's like, that's not the question I asked you. And so sometimes we make excuses about why I'm not making progress, why I'm not as far as I'd like to be, why I'm not doing what I like to be doing. We're talking about, well, anybody ever show me? Anybody do this? Anybody ever do this? Well, Jesus didn't ask that question. He said, do you want to be healed? And there are times in which you're trying to figure this out. He said, well, I want, and again, in the context of singles, it's two-front, because there's a reality of singles. Everybody that's single won't be married. Amen. Yeah, thank you, Ayento. Everybody might not agree with the fact that they might not like it. It don't mean I'm speaking that over your life, but it's a biblical principle. Everybody doesn't get married. And some people are called to a life of singleness. So it's nothing to even despise. It's just unique. It is what it is. If that's God's will for your life, it's God's will for your life. You rather be single and in purpose than be married and miserable. Amen. So if that's what he has for you, that's what he has for you. Yeah, I mean, and again, don't be claiming singleness. Hey, he made me single. No, he wants you to fix your attitude, and then you'll find a mate. So don't claim it. And you got behavioral issues that you don't want to adjust. And so because you don't want to adjust your behavioral modifications, you just claim it. Yeah, I'm supposed to be this way. Like, no, you don't have nobody because you mean. That's not a God's call. You mean. Fix your attitude. But I want to speak to that though, because again, sometimes people can hear these messages sometimes and feel a kind of way because God's kind of placed in your heart. I just don't feel like that's for me. It's possible. It's not everybody's called, but it's possible. Paul writes very clearly about it. He says, look, if you can live this life, Paul almost encourages, say, man, if you can be single, you should, because you can get more work done. That's what Paul says. It's not what I say. It's Paul writes about it. He says, he says you're able to fulfill the work because you don't have to manage somebody else in the process. And so it's not to say you shouldn't do it. Here's what it speaks to. It speaks to embracing the season while you're in it. Because there are things you can do when it's only you that you can't do when it's you and somebody else. Now, of course, you can say that when it's the two of us, I'm a force and I'm good all by myself, but I'm a force and we're together. You could do that. You could do that. You could talk about being a power couple by all means. But the reality of it is that you can move a little freer sometimes. You don't have. It's not the same. So it's one thing when y'all are going together. The challenge with that is, here goes this idea I talked about last week as well. When you put two broken pieces together, well, we're not a force. Right? And when one is stronger than the other, sometimes we're not a force. Because if we're unequally yoked, like I've mentioned it very, very little last week, but when we're unequally yoked, I don't care how strong I am. If you so far back, we still ain't going nowhere. So you got to be going towards this idea of being healed and whole. That was that whole concept last week. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit today as well. So you got to understand, if I'm going to walk in the fullness, I got to listen, but then I also got to stop making so many excuses. So I said, number one, you got to be self-aware last week. You got to be self-motivated. You got to check your surroundings. You have to have something or someone to follow if you're going to be able to move past the idea of excuses. So today I want to talk about taming your appetite. And if you've been here for a little while, you're going to have to be here for a long while ago. I believe I preached this passage during the Summer of More series. And so that would have been like 2016. But I couldn't escape it this week as I was prepping and preparing to kind of frame an idea. I don't want to preach the passage, but I want to frame an idea about taming your appetite. The passage is an incredible one, but I get lost in Jacob's stories whenever I preach Jacob. So I don't want to preach Jacob's story as much as I want to use it as a framework for the dialogue. But you find it right here in Genesis chapter number 25, and it says in verse 29 that once Jacob was cooking stew, Esau came in from the field and he was exhausted. And Esau said to Jacob, "Let me eat some of that red stew, for I am exhausted." Therefore his name was called Edom. And Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright now." And Esau said, "I am about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me?" Jacob said, "Swear to me now." So he swore to him, and he sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau of the bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank and rose and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. This passage really is about this idea of one brother giving up his everything, his future and his livelihood, because he could not tame and control his appetite. That because he was hungry, all of a sudden, he feels as if I don't get what I want right now, I'm not going to make it. And the danger is this. Hunger is one thing, right? As you kind of hear me talk in the coming months, hunger is one of our values here at the church, one of our core values. I don't believe that you should really be a part of our spiritual family if you're not hungry for something. And when I say hungry for something, I mean this. I don't just believe in salvation from the aspect of salvation, to say you join the church to be saved. That's the first step. I believe you should also want to be saved and transformed. So I should be hungry for better, not just heaven. Heaven is great. You should be excited about heaven. So never misinterpret when I say that. But while I'm here, I still got a life to live. I don't know when I'm going to leave, but while I'm here, I ought to be hungry for the better God promised me. Amen. So I need hunger. God, I want you to change me, and I want to change. So the idea of hunger is not complacent in that context. That's not really what I mean today. I mean hunger to a point where you're not thinking consciously. Because sometimes when I just want something so bad, I don't make rational decisions. And some of you all have been hungry in the natural before, and you know when you're hungry enough, you'll eat anything. Stuff you normally wouldn't eat start looking good. Stuff you normally wouldn't drink starts, so you say, you know what, just give it to me. I'm just so thirsty. Or people start looking better. Let's talk. Y'all get real quiet with food, so let me see if I can make it just a little bit plainer. People start looking better when you get a little hungry. You're like, you know what, it's been a long time, and I ain't been out on a date in a while, and you know what, normally I wouldn't give him a chance, but let's go out today. And I figured you might catch me there. Hunger. Hunger is this idea of unfulfillment. Right? So the opposite of hunger would be fulfilled, satisfied. And so when I am not fulfilled, not satisfied, not functioning in that area where I'm receiving the nourishment that I need, I am liable to put myself in harm's way if I don't know how to tame my appetite. Because hunger, studies have suggested, and research has proven, that when you are so hungry sometimes, you'll suffer from what's called impact bias. That you will be so hungry that all of a sudden your brain starts functioning slightly differently. That when you're hungry, the things that your brain needs to function in a certain capacity don't quite work that way. So stuff that would be logical is no longer logical. And so all of a sudden you start saying, man, wait a minute, maybe I should try this, I should do this. Literally, your body functions differently when you're hungry. And so if that's the case, how do I, in some cases, how do I not make the mistake of allowing myself to have an appetite that I don't know how to check? Because if some of us are going to be honest, we can certainly testify to that reality. To say there's some people I would not have went out with it if I wasn't so hungry.
Yes, Lord.
And for those who don't want to talk about relationships, there's some jobs I would have took if I wasn't so hungry. Mm-hmm. They were terrible opportunities, Chris. Mm-hmm. But I was just hungry. I had to make the money. They were terrible opportunities. But I had to do it. I felt like I had to do it. Well, why are you still there? Because I feel like I got to do it. Well, why are you still with them? Because I feel like I don't want to be lonely. Or sometimes we make moves too quickly. Because I just want something and I don't even know what I want. So I leave this church to go to the next church because I just want something. And I don't feel like you're giving it to me today. So I love the fact that, yes, to me, I look like people really do that. I love that. I'm glad you're part of my spiritual family here. Because people do it plenty of places. Some have done it here. It's just a reality sometimes. But it's about hunger and appetite and knowing what it means to tame it. The story, here goes the context of the story. I'm going to give you the points and then we'll get out. The context of the story is this. You have Jacob and Esau. You have these two brothers. Well, the story makes it seem as if they're younger. They're actually not. They're in their 70s at the time of the story, which is ridiculous that they're fighting about this stuff at 70. But they're in their 70s. It makes it sound like little kids fighting. But so they're in their 70s. Jacob is determined to get his brother's birthright. Birthright was this God's blessing. It's the honor of the family. And so it's this significant honor. It's this invisible thing, though. I cannot physically see the birthright being exchanged. It's this invisible badge of honor, though, that you receive the birthright blessing. And so it's bestowed upon by the father to the son. And so Jacob desires it. It says in verse number, I don't think it's going to be up there, but in verse number 28, it says that Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. So the father loves Esau, the mother loves Jacob. And so there's this real war that kind of takes place in the beginning. And so the mother has kind of put this appetite, this hunger, put this thought on Jacob's mind. And Jacob is kind of so stuck on saying, yeah, you know what, mama, maybe I should go do this. And so they end up in this place right here where you find them. This is that Esau finds out Jacob's making stew. Esau's character is kind of interesting because Esau is thought to be a hunter. So I really don't need you to make me food if I can go hunt my own. But when I'm hungry, I don't think logically. Right, again, so it says right there that once he was cooking stew, Esau came in from the field. So Esau was in the field getting meat. But sometimes you can be so exhausted from the work that you don't want to do what that's required on the other end of it. So the work was so exhausting. And you know what? I went and caught the meat. I got to cook it too. He's exhausted and he's hungry. And this trickster is in there making it. And it smells oh so delicious to Esau. And as he smells it, he says to him, let me eat some, for I am exhausted. When I talk about appetites and taming it, this isn't one of my points because I just saw it right now, but you have to learn how to understand that exhaustion will typically confuse your hunger. That when you're tired, you don't think well either. That when you're tired and you're fatigued can be substituted for being hungry, because when you're fatigued, you also don't think rationally or logically. So sometimes if I can speak to my singles for a second and I'll come back, piggyback around everybody else, so sometimes late at night when I get the text or the call, right? It's got real quiet. This just got real quiet. So let me know you're still here. We got quiet like crickets. It's like, how you know that still happening? It's like that ain't. Those ain't popping no more. You say, man, I don't even get those no more, Pastor. for those who that still is popping for. It's like, man, my line's so dry, I can't even get those no more. That might be a good thing. You said no so many times, maybe they stopped texting. Here goes this reality, though. Here goes this reality. There's some of the times in which many of us have been in a position where we said yes to those messages because I was tired. I wasn't even thinking right.
That's what it was.
Yeah, no way, don't say it like that, parents. Don't make an excuse sometimes. I was like, yeah, that's what it was. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but I was just so exhausted. I just took a nap. No, sometimes I make those decisions when I'm just tired. And again, so that's how I can apply it to singles in that particular context, but it can apply to any other one you want to because we don't make good decisions when we're tired. So sometimes I pop off when I'm frustrated. People trying to have a conversation with me. It's like, no, this is not the best time to talk to me. I know me enough to know when I'm tired, man, I'm short. I don't process quite the same. My voice elevates some. I'm just like, and it won't be at you. It'll be because I'm tired. So I just don't kind of function the same way. I've kind of learned how to become a little bit more pleasant when I'm not tired. But when I'm not pleasant, you get me at my core. You get me when I'm tired. You get the unchecked me when I'm frustrated or I'm tired. And it becomes frustration. And so it says that he's exhausted there. I'm about to die. And so he says, well, here's what he says though. So Jacob, this trickster, to sell me your birthright now. When you're tired, you don't think logically. He said, man, I'm about to die. Of what use is this birthright to me? He wasn't finna die. He's just tired. He wasn't finna die. He was hungry and tired, but death is not imminent upon you. The death angel ain't swirling around your house because you're tired. You was out working, you're tired. But here it is. When you are not aware of your own proclivities, when you're not aware of your own traps, when you're not aware of your own itches that need to be scratched and fulfilled, when you're not aware of your own hidden desires in your heart, somebody can offer you something. And all of a sudden, that when you weren't tired, you wouldn't consider. But when you're tired, it sounds a little bit better. And here goes. I'll give you my first point because I want to give you something else after. So to walk in the fullness of an empowered life, it requires you to have self-control. Number one, you got to have a plan for growth. You got to have a plan for growth. If you don't plan for growth, you won't grow. So there are really, I think, 3 questions you've got to ask in considering your life if you're going to assist with taming your appetite. The first one is, what's my plan for growth? It says right there in verse number 27 that they grew up, but I can grow up without growing. I can get older without maturing. I can get older and not get wiser. So what's my plan for growth? Because growth in the sense of changing your mind and renewed mind and becoming more of the person in the Christ likeness that he calls for us to be, it doesn't happen by accident. I say it all the time. It is direction, not intention, that determines my destination. So I can intend to go wherever, but if I don't start going that way, I won't get there. So what's my plan for growth? This isn't up there, but this is good if you want to take notes. That promises are no substitute for preparation. Andy Stanley says it all the time. That promises are no substitute for preparation. So I can have great intentions, but if I'm not going there, it don't matter. So I can make all the promises in the world. I'll be this. Next time I'll be better. I'm not going to do this no more. I'm not going to do that no more. I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm not going to call them. I'm not going to answer. No, they did me wrong too many times. I don't want to be bothered. No, I'm not going back to that place of employment because they don't know how to treat me. Well, promises mean nothing without preparation. Most of us stay where we are because you're not prepared for what's next. Right. And so we know leaving means I'll step into another level I might not be prepared for. Like that's typically what the kind of delay is between there. I haven't made a move because I don't feel adequate enough for what's next. But I will only feel adequate when I prepare. Preparation makes me feel like I got a little more. So what's my plan for growth? So I might not have what it takes in this area right now. What's my plan to get there? How will I make sure I don't do what I did previously? What's my plan for growth? Growing older, here it is. Growing older does not automatically equate to health. And when I speak to health, I speak to this idea of having a free, clear mind. When I talk about being healthy, I mean I can make sober-minded decisions. It means I can automatically just kind of move in another realm. When I talk health, I mean holistically. I mean mental, physical, emotional, financial, relational, healthy, a healthy person in that regard. Growth don't automatically get me there. Growing older don't get me healthy. I gotta have a plan in place. Growing older does not automatically equate to maturity. Growing older don't make me more mature. Paul makes it clear. He says, well, look, when I was a child, I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a child, I put away childish things. He had to put it away. It didn't leave. You see that? He didn't say when I became an adult, all of a sudden it just changed. No, I had to put it away. I had to realize that I can't process how I processed when I was 12. I can't handle this how I handled this when I was in high school. I reason differently. That makes sense? Amen. Let me give you number 2. Number 2 says, what should I do when I feel weak? If I'm going to tame my appetite, what should I do when I feel weak? What's my plan for when the worst case is about to happen? How do I protect me from me? Amen. Now, how do I protect me from everybody else? How do I protect me from myself? What do I need to do when I get that hungry, when I get that fatigued, when I get that tired? I need to be considered in my plan. My plan is to also include what's my plan for when I feel unfulfilled. That way I don't go to my vices that always trap me up. That way I don't make the same decision I made the last time. What's my plan? Because I know I talked about this in January. I know this is my trigger, so what's my plan for when I think I'm about to hit it? No, I feel like, no. Let me turn the phone off because tonight's not going to be a good decision night. So I'm just disconnected. Not even do not disturb. I don't want to see the missed call. Turning it off all the way. No, so just, I know it's not going to be a good decision day. And again, you can apply this principle wherever. I use that one to kind of make it clear in that regard, but you can apply that principle wherever. What's your plan for when you feel weak? So what's your plan for when you get teed off? Are you going to pretend like it just doesn't happen? Oh, you talking about, Pastor? I don't get mad. The joy of the Lord is my strength. His strength is my joy. That's true, but I bet you still get mad sometimes. So what's your plan for when you get mad? 'Cause some of us, we can get mad and bounce right back out of it. Some of us get mad and it's just gone for the rest of the day. Okay, what matter of time it happens? Everybody else, they got to deal with you. They have to deal with your wrath. And hope you wake up in a better mood tomorrow. And don't think about what happened the day before. So what's your plan? What's your plan? Esau didn't have no plan. So because Esau didn't have a plan, he illogically made a terrible decision. Am I making sense? Yeah. Let me give you another example. Jesus, Matthew chapter number 4. As he's preparing for his ministry, he's there coming off of a 40-day fast. That's his preparation. That's his plan. So he's preparing for the work he's about to be entered into. And right after he finishes this 40-day fast, the enemy shows up. And the enemy shows up in the form of what it is he would imagine Jesus would want. I've got bread. I can offer it to you. Well, because he was prepared and had a plan, when the enemy proposed something that he might have wanted, he was able to say, no, dog, if I got to get it from you, I really don't want it. The word says this. Amen. Do you see what I'm saying? So I've got to understand, if Jesus was susceptible to it, but didn't fall for it, that's my example. Amen. So I can't be like, no, they're not going to try me. No, they tried him, so they're going to try you. The question is, will you follow the example that was set? Because he teaches it's not impossible. It's just work. But I say it all the time. Everybody get prepared. Everybody is prepared to fight until they get punched in the face. My great philosopher, Mike Tyson. What do I do when I feel weak? Here goes another scripture. It's not on the board, so if you want to take note of it, you got to write it down. Proverbs 14 and 15. Proverbs 14 and 15. It says the simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thoughts to his steps. The simple believe everything, but the prudent give thoughts to his steps. What does that mean? It means this. It means that the thoughtful, that those who are intentional, they take thought toward everything they're going to do. What's my next step here? What do I do when this happens? Wait a minute. No, you know, you kind of said you wasn't going to get angry like that, but you still get angry. So I noticed that. You're not fooling me this time. So the prudent takes thought, but the simple believes anything. So you can tell me, no, I'm not going to hit you again. Okay. All it was, you know. She didn't really call me. It just looked like she did. Just looked like she did. It was wrong number. Wrong number. And multiple times? We had text messages too? Simple believe everything. The prudent takes thoughtful steps. So I gotta consider this when I'm talking about a plan. When I'm talking about a plan and development, I gotta consider this. I gotta be thoughtful of my steps and those connected to me. So when I feel weak, what's my steps? What's the next step? Look at it in that passage right there. Esau says in verse number 32, I'm about to die. He don't have a step. And this is dangerous when you don't have a step and the wrong person has access to your ear, because whoever has access to your ear has access to your life. So he's talking to Jacob, and man, Jacob is a trickster. So Jacob like, are you that tired? Sell me your birthright, player. I got some stew for you. I got what you need. Here goes modern day. Plain example. Don't Jesus forgive? What's that grace stuff Pastor be talking about? I got grace. Who gonna even see? You know them church folk hypocrites anyway. That's why I don't even go to church. Just come on. So they're swaying you to pursue their bad habits. How many of y'all watch Greenleaf? Anybody? A couple people? And please don't take this as a suggestion to go watch it. I just ask. It's not an endorsement in the least bit. It's extremely messy. I watch it because I don't sleep well, so I'm up watching TV sometimes at night when I can't sleep. It's comical to me, but I got a different lens, so I don't read it and think this is what church is like. I read it and think this is ridiculous. Somebody portrays it, and that's how some churches exist. I don't want you to read it and get a bad idea, because everybody can't read everything and see everything and not allow it to affect their heart. So it's not an endorsement at least bit. But there's a piece in there that I'm reminded of, and it's the pastor's daughter. She's dating this guy, and she's talking to this guy after they just had an encounter that night. You figure out what type of encounter I'm referring to. And they're in the shower. They're just finished showering, and they're standing there. And she's saying, I'm thinking about just going home, because my mom is really starting to kind of get on me about not coming in late at night and all this stuff about sneaking over here to come over here with you. And she's like, I feel like a hypocrite. And he's like, well, it's okay to be a hypocrite like everybody else. She's like, that's what I needed to hear. Thank you, I'm leaving. Because sometimes people say something like that. You're like, okay, you're right. Let's just stay. It's like, no, you're right. You just checked me. I need to leave. Because you are right. I am being that. So I don't want to be that. So you know what? You're right. You gave me what I needed to let me know this right here. So that's the idea. When I know who I am, I know what I'm not going to do. And I might fall sometimes, but when I fall, I got to get myself back up. So you know what? I failed too many times right here. This is clear. You know what? As a matter of fact, I might not leave you today, but I'm going to leave here in this moment. And if you don't want to rise to where I am, maybe that's a sign. Am I making sense? So whoever has access to you has access to your life. So this is why, if y'all didn't get anything else during whatever that day was, I taught about that. Whoever has access to you has access to your life. That is everything. Rhonda Finley cracks me up. She says, Pastor, she says, your words to me are like rules and regulations. Since I call the messages here rules and regulations for my life. Because whoever has access to your ear has access to your life. So who you choose to listen to will determine a whole lot about what you do. He chose to listen to Jacob. He chose to listen to Jacob. Here it is. Just because they look good to you, or just because it or they may look good to you, doesn't mean they or it are good for you. Yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to push it or belabor it because I'm already over my time I wanted to go. But I used to be a frequent steak eater. I eat a lot more seafood now, kind of laid off of the red meat. But I used to eat a lot of steak once upon a time. And yeah, sometimes people can cook steak and on the outside it look real good. And you bite into it, it's really bad meat, not really cooked. Yeah. Yeah, you figure out what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. Yeah, you figure it out. Sometimes because it look good, you might discover that it's not quite what you thought. Yeah, yeah. You thought you was getting some filet mignon, it was really some,
Some liver.
yeah, some liver. They told you it was one thing, but it's chopped steak. It's like, this is, yeah. You're like, what is this? They're like, oh, well, it's actually sheep. You order lamb and they give you sheep. What is that? The chicken gizzards. Am I making sense? Sometimes you go, that's because it looks like one thing, don't always mean it's that. So you got to do your own investigation. Don't you just listen because they talk again. Just because it look good don't mean it's good. And that can be opportunities. Sometimes, get this, be clear. This is not just for those who are battling with relational issues. Opportunities can come in a good form. That don't mean it's your opportunity. Every door that opens ain't for you to walk through. Some are tests to see where you sit when you could go forward. You got to get this. Because otherwise you'll walk into everything and be mad about it. Every door ain't the door. Some doors they say, well, do you trust me enough to let this door pass you by? So sometimes you say, God, I'm going to just sit here, I'm going to chill, I'm going to take a season of rest, and then the door opens. It's like you just told God you're going to take a season of rest, and the door opens, and you can just go jump right into it? That must be God. This must have been the Lord. Did you ask them? Did you do like I said last week, pray about it first? Or did you just assume that the last instruction was the same instruction? Am I making sense? You just can't jump all the time into some of those opportunities that are there. Here goes another one. You got to be clear about this. Desperation is for those who don't have options. Mm-hmm. Well, you know you got options. You're not desperate. You pick whatever field you want to apply that principle to. When I know who I am, I know what to do. When I know who I am, I know what I'm not going to do. I'm God's child. I'm a child of the King. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am bought and I am redeemed with the price, so I will not settle for less than what he promised me. I will not bring down my standard. I will not bring down my morals. I don't want it so bad or you so bad that will compromise who I am. This is my last one on this point, and I'll give you the last one, and then we'll go. Last one on this point is this. Manipulation is a sign that this might be hazardous. Manipulation is a sign that this might be hazardous. If I tell you I'm hungry, you want to barter with me for it, that's manipulation. I'm hungry, you get food, at least you can do is help a brother out, not barter with me for it. Well, if you do this, then I do this. If you do this, I do this. If it's manipulation, that might be toxic. Especially talking about basic needs and necessities. Make sense? I don't think I got to work that. Manipulation is a sign, so you need to watch out. It's like, wait a minute, that's not truthful, that's not honest, that's not looking out for me. Because whoever has access to you has access to your life. Last one. What do I value more? Take me your appetite. What do I value more? What God has for me or what I want? What God has for me or what I want right here, right now? Because if I'm not willing to wait for what God has for me, I will settle for anything right here, right now. How'd you eat before, Esau? I would imagine it wasn't Jacob's stew. So if you just been hungry a little while longer, Mama might have made something. You could have made your own. They didn't have Uber Eats then, so you couldn't quite call it Uber Eats. But what do you want more? God or stuff? Because sometimes going after God means I got to lose some stuff. And not permanently, not because God is anti-stuff. Sometimes He just wants to see, are you mature enough to handle? Can you live your life without stuff? Because how you live your life without stuff determines whether or not you can handle your life with stuff. Because sometimes people get stuff and it changes everything about who they are. It changes everything about who they are sometimes. So sometimes it's that. What do you want more? Do you want God, or do you want this? Do you want to run the streets, or do you want to serve Him? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want to satisfy your hunger and your appetite in the flesh, or do you want to see what God has for you that could be there if you just trust Him for it? Esau's like, man, look, I'm hungry. Just take this birthright. I can't see it no way. And that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is, what do you want more? Something that God says He has for you, but you can't see it, or something that's right before you and you can touch it? He traded what he couldn't see for what he could see. Sometimes what I can't see is significantly greater. So you will make a mistake by going for what you can't see, by giving up what you can't see for what you can see. You gotta learn how to make the right choice. Learn how to make the right choice. You will never find fulfillment by settling. You'll never find fulfillment by settling. Never. What I do next, what I get next, what I receive next is based upon what I do now. It's based upon my decisions that I make now. The life I experience next is determined by what I do now, what I say no to now, how I say no to it now, how I make the adjustment now, how I move now. My next is based upon that. My next is not based upon what I do next. My next is based upon what I do now. You can't change your past. So it's not really based upon what you did in your past, because you can't change that. You can't alter that. It just is what it is sometimes. I did it. I said it. I was with them. It happened. Whatever. I was there. I worked there. I hated it. Whatever. I had this job. Didn't nobody know I had this job. I was there till the place closed down. I left every day smelling like I was in this club. It's okay. I did it then, but it's not what I'm doing now. You get what I'm saying? So it's like whatever you did before don't really matter, because you can't change it anyway. Like you don't have you can't erase your past. You can't rewrite it, but you can carve out your future. So he says, I know I have the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope and a future. So he's more concerned about your future than your past. He knew who you were and what you could do before you did it. Some of y'all feel like you wasted time. Sometimes you feel like time's not quite left. So you don't want to pursue people, you don't want to pursue this, you don't want to pursue that, you don't want to pursue next. Sometimes you just don't want to pursue fulfillment. You're like, man, I was talking to somebody the other day, honest to God, she was talking to somebody the other day, they're like, I'm just kind of at this place in life where I just kind of want to just go through the motions, because, what do I do at this stage in my life? And I was like, listen. I reference this to you all the time, that the story of Abraham and Sarah is in the Bible, not because they want us to have babies at 90. That's not why that's there. That story is there to let us know that regardless of how old you are, how young you are, He has something for you to do. So don't ever let time make you feel like that's surpassed. No, the question is not about what you did before. The question is, what are you going to do now with the time you have left on the clock? What your next determines your now. What your legacy will be is determined by what you do now. What they will say about you when they lay you across that front and say from ash to ash, dust to dust, is not based upon what you do the day before you leave. It's based upon what you do now. So what are you willing to commit to make a decision toward? Plans you're willing to make, adjustments you're willing to make, course corrections you're willing to make. All that's based upon what it is that you will do. Now, Father, we thank you for who you are, what you've done, and what you're doing. We ask that you will touch the hearts of those who need it, that you will open the minds and the hearts of those who need it, that you will confirm the words in the hearts of those who are wondering, that you will affirm the promises for those who you have already spoken it to. God, I thank you for every door they may have wanted to walk through, but you closed. For every person they thought they should connect with, but you didn't allow it. For every moment that they weren't sure why rejection took place, but you used rejection to be redirection. I thank you for it. God, it's my prayer that you'll allow all of us to evaluate what it means for us to kind of even grow where we are. You got to recreate, reinvent ourselves, God. And so we pray you'll kind of give us what it means for us to do that in the season that we're in the season that we're going into. Pray that you will allow us to be able to think about and think considerately about what it means for us to have the right voices in our ear, to pray considerately about what it means for us to make an adjustment to just how we move and when we move and why we move. That we don't give up our reputation and our future and our character for momentary lapses in judgment. And I pray for those who might be watching online now, watching back later. I just feel a tug that have kind of been in their seat. They're trying to figure out what it means for them to redeem themselves. God, you are the Redeemer, so let them know it's already paid for. The penalty was paid for with Jesus Christ. And all they can do today is move forward, being better than they were. Allow us all to come together as a spiritual family and say, look, if you only knew what I've been through, to willingly share our testimony. Because your word teaches us that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of our testimony, God. So give us the freedom to raise, to train, to grab somebody else and say, it don't have to be like this. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. We all together, amen. And amen again. Listen, if you're here and you need to make a decision, I want you to make it quickly. If you're here and you need to make a decision, I want you to make it quickly. A couple of decisions you can make. First, we need to be baptized. I want to invite you to do so. You've never been baptized, I'd love to welcome you to our family. I'd love to welcome you to the spiritual family of God. Baptism is an outward confession of what you have inwardly professed. So I believe in my heart, but now I want to demonstrate it publicly before people. If you've never been baptized, you can wave your hand, you can fill it on the Connect card, you can see Lorenzo, you could leave us a message on the inbox, you can message us and let us know you're making that decision. We'd love to have you. We'll be doing another baptism really soon. Maybe you want to be rebaptized, you want to be recommitted. We do those as well. If that's you can make the decision today. Fill out the Connect card. You can stop by, see Lo. You can stop by, see me. Whatever that case, if you're watching online, you can get it to us that way. Number two, you need to join our spiritual family. You say, you know what? I'm without a church home, but I'm without a church home, and I probably didn't even know I really needed one until I found this one. If that's the case, I want you to make the decision. I can assure you of this. We're not a perfect place, but we are a place that is committed to seeing people reach, lives restored, generations impacted. The chapter of the story of the Empowerment Church that you're in right now, this is the early works. This is the early writings. I don't even know if I call this the first chapter. This is really the foreword of what God's going to do here. So there's been no better time probably to jump in and join our spiritual family. And I didn't realize how much spiritual family was important until I felt like something was missing in my personal life. And I was able to connect to mine. And when I found my tribe, my life kind of shifted. And I want to invite you to join this tribe because I believe if you join it and you commit to it, your life will shift. You can do it by the Connect card. You can click the button. You could, if you're watching on TV, you can mail a letter, whatever your case might be. I just want to invite you to make that decision to say, you know what, I realize I need a spiritual family. A place where I can grow, I can belong, and I can be at. Lastly, you desire prayer. You fill out that Connect card in the back. There's a spot for your prayer request. If you want somebody to pray and call you, there's a box that says you want to talk with a leader or you want to talk with a pastor. Whatever that box is, whatever you check, we'll respect it. If you say you want to talk to me, I'll call you. You say you want to talk to a leader, they'll call you. You tell you don't want to talk to nobody, we probably won't. We'll just pray for you. But I get them all. I see them all. They come directly to me. I see them, we pray over them. Whatever your response is, that's how we handle it accordingly. If you're online, you can submit it online. Inboxes, you can click the button that says need prayer on the website. You can submit your prayer request that way. But wherever you are, you can make a decision today. Don't wait, don't put it off. Make your decision today, whatever it might be. Tomorrow's not promised. Next Sunday isn't promised. Make the decision today. Won't you celebrate those who are making a decision wherever they may be? Somebody might be here making it. Somebody might be online making it. Won't you celebrate in advance the decisions that were made? I just believe we're in a decision-making season. We had 2 people make some form of a decision last week, and I celebrate them for that. And I also want to celebrate you all that might have made one today.